Welcome to the She Nailed It show, where faith meets foundation and every renovation tells a redemption story. I'm your host, Danette Galvis, and we're not just transforming a house, we're rebuilding lives. On this show, we'll talk about real challenges, real faith, and the blessings that come when you don't give up. From recovery and restoration to faith and fresh starts, this is where we discover that what once broke us is actually building us. So grab your hard hat and your heart, because on the She Nailed It show, we're fixing up homes, finding purpose, and proving that with a little faith and a lot of courage, you can nail it too. Hello, welcome to the She Nailed It show. I'm your host, Danette Galvis, and today we are so honored and grateful to have our guest, who is a contributing author in the She Nailed It book series, best-selling book on Amazon, Teri DiGrande. Teri has spent nearly 4 decades building an agency rooted in trust, authenticity, and real human connections. Known for her community involvement and genuine client relationship, Teri brings clarity and compassion to every conversation. Thank you so much, Teri, for being on the show today. And thank you for being a contributing author to our best-selling book, She Nailed It. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Danette. I'm so grateful to be here with you today. Thank you.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about what made you want to participate in taking a chapter for the She Nailed It book.
Well, gosh, this is my second contribution to doing books with the Pink Fix Productions. And, anytime you can get together with Pink Fix and Jessica Weaver, it's a great opportunity. So I was just thrilled to be invited to do it. I'm grateful to be here with you guys.
Thank you. And I love that the She Nailed It book series has a collection of people that are in a profession, let's say real estate. Like, your subject matter really is important when someone might be doing real estate investing. So that's what I do as a real estate agent and now turned investor. It's so important to have this insurance conversation, not just for projects, but for your life, for protecting your legacy, right?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it exactly, right? No pun intended. Everything we do. I thought that was such a great, the title of the book is great, because the book really does encompass everything we as women do in life, whether it's real estate, investment properties, flipping, right? Building our home, building our nest eggs, if you will, being a mom. Right. So we talked about, in my chapter, we talk about the toolboxes you need for the foundations of all of that, whether it's home insurance, whether it's car insurance or life insurance or business insurance, because we're business owners as well. We try to do we wear so many hats, don't we, Danette? Right? So
we do.
That's right. That's right.
No, I appreciate the conversation, because even just a couple of years ago, I didn't know what I didn't know about insurance. Obviously, I've had it on my car when I first turned, 18 and was on my own and driving my own car. Knew I needed that liability at least, right? And then moving it forward, like medical insurance it's super important for surgeries or events that come up that are unexpected. And then when you move into the world of operating a business, I currently have sober living insurance on the sober living homes that I operate as a part of my assets, where I'm holding the home, I'm insuring the home, but I also have to insure the operation on the inside. So it grows, and there's so much value. I love in your chapter, where you talk about the different situations where someone has had to call you and say, I need to file a claim. Share with us a little bit about the piece that you do isn't just about getting a policy and signing that up. Share with us a little bit about how you serve the community and your clients that you have when events happen in life.
Oh, thank you for that. And thank you for that introduction. And I'm smiling so big, because your chapter and talking about the sober living work that you do is so important. And it is part of the community, right? It is so important to what we do. again, just going back to the community work, it's a passion of mine to work with the community. I think first of all, being women, it's just who we are. We bring emotion to what we do in our daily lives. But, listen, we all talk about the relationship building part of our jobs. When you sell from emotion and caring for customers, it does show. And if you just try to push products on people, that shows too, right? So getting to know your customers and look, I've been doing this. I'm in my 39th year, in the insurance industry. And I feel like I know my stuff pretty well. So I can sell you anything. I mean, I could sell you literally anything, but do you need it? Do you really need it? I can upsell you, but more oftentimes than not, and we joke about this in my office, I'll tell you, you probably don't need that product. And really that's where the trust comes in.
Yes.
Oftentimes customers will come in and think that they need a certain product or, I heard this from my neighbor who has this and that's where the relationship building and the trust comes in and the respect. It often comes in from, sitting down with the customers, I can go off on a tangent about the 1-800 numbers and you can buy online the insurance products, but are you really building that trust and relationship on a 1-800 number and ensuring your most greatest and most expensive investments and assets from a 1-800 number? Who cares about you? I mean, they don't care about you, right? So building that community trust and getting involved in the community, I think is really where it's at. And that's where our hearts lie anyway, right?
Right. Well, and that's just the connection, right? Because the 1-800 number, you're not going to get a connection of someone that wants to get to know what the policy's for and then also speak to experience of, oh, I've given this policy before to another client of mine. And here's an example of something that may have happened in their term of policy that they had to file a claim for. And I speak from experience. And I speak about also riders, adding riders to your policy. I didn't realize on one job site that there was going to be theft for pool equipment, but I didn't have the rider on my policy for theft. And so when you're able to have and spend quality time with a client that you can say, oh, you might want to add this, and here's why, that really speaks to, okay, I may add that because it's a nominal fee.
That's right.
But yet it costs me hundreds of dollars to replace equipment, not to mention labor and then locking up the gates. And, you learn through all these experiences, but it's just, it's more of a personal connection. So thanks for topping on that. But let's take a commercial break. Yes. Let's take a quick commercial break and we'll come back and talk more with Teri about life insurance policies, insurance policies in general, and hear more wisdom from her.
So fun.
Stay tuned.
In life, we all face valleys, moments of pain, challenge, and struggle. But it's what we do in those moments that defines us. She nailed it. Inspiring stories of going from valley to victory brings together powerful women who turned adversity into strength and strength into purpose. Led by Danette Galvis, with chapters from inspiring voices including Teri DiGrande, Erica Butler, Corey Beth Lepowski, Teresa Todd, Catherine Sorensen, Katika Estevez, Christina Good, Denise Sandkamp, Megan McDermott, Kristen Williams, and Jessica Weaver. These stories will inspire you to believe in your own comeback, reminding us all that victory is always possible. She nailed it. Inspiring stories of going from valley to victory. Available now on Amazon. One book, countless stories of hope. Get your copy today.
Welcome back to the She Nailed It show. Today we have Teri DiGrande from Teri DiGrande Insurance Agency. We've had amazing conversations so far in the just few minutes of this podcast, just talking about insurance. And I brought up an example of riders where I didn't know what I didn't know. And she's speaking of the personal connection that you can have with an insurance agent. It shouldn't be cut and dry. It shouldn't be a 1-800 number. It is something that you really need to spend the time to have a conversation with an agent that is going to give you that time. So I think if someone wants to hurry and rush off the phone, then that's not your person, right?
That's right. I don't want to be that person either. And I make no promises and I make no apologies. You call my office. It's not the, 15 minutes and saving 15%. That's not who we are. And I will tell my customers, you want somebody else, that's fine, but that's not who we are. We're going to spend a little, because again, we're insuring your biggest assets, whether that's your car, your home, or your life. I'm not going to spend under 15 minutes with you.
Mm-hmm. And also your experience and tenure, 39 years is amazing. So it speaks to, you've got in your chapter of the book, and I'm not going to spoil it too much because you need to go buy the book, but there are some examples you give in your chapter that you don't think about. I'll just say flying flamingos because of a storm. You don't think about that, and when you're purchasing the life insurance. But when those flamingos start flying, let's just say you're the first person they're going to call and say, "Well, this is funny, and it happened." And you have a lot of other examples that you give where people have had to use and file a claim, and you're holding your hand right through it all.
Sorry about that. I've always said I wanted to write a book of some of the craziest claims that we've had come along. And this was my opportunity, right? I had to literally pick and choose which situations were going to make this book. So it was so fun writing it. I had to, come down to some of the good ones, and names have changed.
And you did. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. Share with us a little bit about, God's not finished with your story yet. And you just mentioned also like writing a book of your experiences. And while this is a piece to help get you there, I mean, go for it, girl. Like, go write a whole entire book of all of these examples because you've got that information. But I love that, some of the products that you offer aren't just for, let's say, real estate investing. We talked about that before the commercial break. What are some other examples that you might need some insurance policies for?
Well, one of the stories that I did talk about is the one that hit home the most, I think, the reason it hit home, well, first of all, it's most relevant because it's very new to us. It just happened prior to the holidays. And it's a basic story about life insurance. It's a very, very basic story. The names have been changed in the book, but Jessica and Steve they were a young couple that came to me when I first opened my agency just about 16 years ago. And they were just getting married, buying their first home, and we wrote their home insurance. And of course, they wanted paycheck protection. God forbid one of them passes away. And we talked to them about that. And they were a little hesitant at the time. But we did insure their lives, for life insurance back in the day. And then they had babies, right? They had 2 young daughters. About 2023, the husband called and he canceled one of his life insurance policies. They each had 2 life insurance policies on each of them. And, he canceled one of them. He said, I don't need this one. I'll just keep the other one. I get the phone call around Christmas time. The husband passed away. So he did have one policy on him. She had another one. She happened to be the breadwinner, made well over $250,000 a year, which was great. But they were best friends. And when I tell you I answered the phone, we were both crying. I had a great relationship with them. Again, they were one of my first clients when I first opened the business. She says, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I don't know anything about the bills. I don't know how he took it. He was the stay-at-home dad, which is the reason he canceled one of the policies years ago. He said, I don't need it. I have chills as I'm telling the story.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know anything. He was my best friend. He did everything for us and the girls. And that was so hard for me. A, because I lost a friend, but B, it's kind of one of those bittersweet moments in your career where you did the right thing by taking care of the family, but now you have to step up and do your job and pay an insurance claim. One of the hardest things we have to do in what we do. He still had the one insurance policy, thank goodness. So I was able to help them pay the funeral benefits. she's able to stay in her home with the girls. She's able to take time off of her big job. She has a very big job, and grieve. But I've never had anybody return a death claim for me and say this was not enough money. But thankfully it was enough money that she was able to grieve with the girls. She actually took them to Disney for the holidays just to get away from the house. And yeah, that's a really tough one. And the reason I bring that one up is because it's still very close to me because it just happened recently. Yeah, that's a tough one. But people don't think I'm ever going to die. I will tell you, 3 out of 100 have a homeowner's insurance claim.
Wow.
18 out of 100 will have a car insurance claim, and 100 out of 100 of us are going to die. And yet, less than half of us have life insurance policies outside of work. And do you need it? When you're out of work, right? When you're retired. We all need life insurance or some sort of burial policy. I don't want to leave that burden to my family and friends to do, a fund account. So we all need life insurance or some sort of paycheck protection, if you will. And this one, I felt the benefit of being there for that family, and I still do. It's still very warm in my heart.
Right. If you're new to listening to this topic in general, like I said, a couple of years ago, I just started to invest a little bit of time learning on insurance and what I needed for where I was at, in my life. And it's so important. When you're young, you don't think about it because you do think you're invincible, right? But it also comes along with the other things that come along with the life insurance policy. It's not just a life insurance policy. It's what is also included. It's what it also covers. It's not just so much. You mentioned the funeral expenses, right? And I want to ask you about that, share insight on that, because it's not just a chunk of money that you get at the end, because the beginning of your insurance policy, you're paying your premium. That might, be something you have to budget for, obviously, but you're doing the life insurance policy or policies for the people that remain when you may pass away. And so it's a gift to that family member. That's a gift for her to receive, that the husband did that, and that they have that also for the children if she passes, and that the children are taken care of. So it's really a selfless act to be able to do that, right?
It's so true that you say that. It is a selfless act. I always say, some people will say, I can't afford it. Mm-hmm. And my thought behind that is, if you can't afford the product, you can't afford the problem, right? What happens if somebody passes away? You can't afford not to have it, because what's going to happen if they pass away and you don't have their paycheck? Prepare for it. Plan for it. But it did give her time to grieve and be with those kids, because if he did not plan for that, she would not have the opportunity to take care. They might have had to sell the house, honestly.
Right.
And I've seen that happen way too many times.
I love that. If you don't plan for it, you can't. What was the word you just said? I'm sorry. If you can't afford the product, you can't. Yes, if you can't afford the product, you can't afford the problem. That goes with everything. That goes with a car accident. Car accidents are thousands of dollars if and when they happen. Let's say a storm comes through your city and your house is destroyed. Like, we're in spring season right now, so I think about the storms that have come through already, or the storms that have come in the previous years here in Texas. Like, we do get tornadoes. We do get hail. Like, you can't afford a $50,000 roof, most people, if you have hail damage. So, while lenders require you to have homeowners insurance, if you own the home outright, it's not required, right? You don't have a loan. Yeah. So it's more about protecting yourself. If you don't plan, that was a great statement for me in so many areas of insurance. The other thing I want to talk about is the beauty of being able to take that time and space to grieve, so that you're not stressed and rushed back to work. Or, if you do have an issue with, your home and something destroyed, like where you go, your hotel, is that expenses? It's expensive to go stay in a hotel. There's so many little things that insurance policies have embedded in the policy that are to your benefit. So, I just enjoy this conversation. So is there anything else that you would like to say and take the opportunity on the show today on how someone might be able to find you and, just any last insight?
Thank you. Well, obviously, the auto insurance and the homeowners are primary. That's what people mostly think about when they think about their protecting their homes, and keep those things in the back, in your toolbox. I recommend going through your insurance products at least every 2 years, because the discounts change. Whether you have a hurricane deductible on your homeowner's insurance, you need to know about that. And one of the things I find most of all is my customers do not know when they come to me that they have a homeowner's deductible from their prior insurance. And so and just what you mentioned, if you do have a windstorm or named windstorm and you have that hurricane deductible, that could be quite shocking. That could be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 of a deductible that you could be quite surprised. So make sure you are reviewing your deductibles on your homeowner's insurance primarily. That's a big surprise. That's a big nut if you do have that. But yeah, you want me to throw out some of my socials?
Yes, I do want to say though too, is that you can always add to your policy. Most people might not know that too. If you need to go add a rider after the fact, or, you think about it and the policy is already intact, you can go add a theft rider. Like I mentioned before on having a theft at one of my investment properties. So that's a piece of information that if you have policies now and you need to service them, right? You need to change some things up, that's possible too. But yes, please do share how someone can reach out to you that they might need to make a change in their insurance provider or agency that they're working with. So let people know how they can reach out to you.
Thank you, Danette. Yeah, your insurance. Good job. I am on Instagram, of course, at DiGrande Agency. That's DI, DiGrande Agency. I'm also on X at Teri DiGrande. I'm on Facebook at Morris Plains Agent. No spaces, Morris Plains Agent. And I'm on LinkedIn at Teri DiGrande Agency. You can find us there or send us an email. Teri at TeriDiGrande.com, or just on the internet. My internet is www.TeriDiGrande.com. You can find me all over the place. Shopping carts, billboards, I'm everywhere. Morris County, New Jersey, but
that's awesome.
Service, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York.
Well, I thank you. The other way is through the book. She nailed it. I thank you for being a part of the book, because that is something that is us leaving our legacy for the remainder of time that Amazon is in business. The book will be available and it will pass down to generations, right? When you think about that, you're sharing your story and taking every opportunity to be out there and help and serve other families. And I thank you for that service. I thank you for being in the book. And if you want to reach out to Teri, I might be reaching out to you too for future things, because you can serve nationally, right?
New York, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut. I'm sorry, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania only.
Well, glad I asked. So if you're in New York, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, reach out to Teri to get familiar with her and what she can do to help you. Yeah. So thank you so much for being on the show. If you are a viewer, please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast, to this episode on YouTube, on all the different streaming channels that you can be on. And Teri, thank you so much for being a part of the book and being a part of this episode today. So stay tuned for the next episode next week of the She Nailed It show.